Here comes in the
two people have been appointed to oversee the turnaround. Two people have been appointed to see about the view the road. View the road.
Have the new business online.
actually, I'll do it under my report.
Well, road closure, that's what they're looking at. Well, it's a portion. Portion, yeah, portion. A portion.
I didn't know you could have anything 752, guys. I'll talk about it under my report.
He'll make a, he will make an amendment, and he'll make a motion to add.
No. We can't come to them. That's what I think.
I'd like to call to order Barren County Fiscal Court. This is March 19th, 2019. Madam Clerk, you call the roll, please.
Jeff Potts.
Here.
Trent Riddle.
Here.
Carl Dickerson.
Here.
Tim Coomer.
Here.
Mark Bowman.
Here.
Kenneth Sarton.
Here.
Houchin.
Here.
Michael Hill.
Here, thank you very much. In the adoption of the day's orders, we're going to add a few things. First off, I just passed out a grant opportunity that came in at 7:52. You can see it marked on the paper this morning. It is due by April the 15th. So this is a grant that we applied for last year and did not receive it, so I would like to do that again. We will do approval of the minutes of the March 12th, 2019. I need to add that. Also, we're going to have an amendment to a motion concerning the economic development funding. So I need to add that as well. So I'll entertain a motion to.
Can you do all three of those at one time here? You want?
Well, this is part of the adoption of the orders of the day,
Okay.
and then we'll get to those in the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Master Houchin, second by Master Riddle. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Invocation today will be given by Master Trent Riddle.
Let's pray. Most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we bow humbly before you on this day, giving you all the honor and the praise and the glory for the many blessings that you have so generously provided for our county and our region and our state. And Lord, we pray that you just continue to watch over us and lead us and guide us and bless us. And Lord, we pray that you'll convict us when we do wrong. And Lord, as we enter into this meeting today, I pray that that your Holy Spirit will just preside over this meeting and grant us the ability to make the right decisions for all the people of Barren County. And it's in Jesus' name I pray these things. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome everyone to Barren County Fiscal Court. Mayor Hatcher, thank you for being here. Transportation Cabinet, thank you for being here. Secretary David Dixon, thank you for being here, sir. And we have some special guests here with us today. I believe we have some more cabinet members here.
Well, we have some members from the Department of Corrections, and I'll introduce them.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Mayor Armstrong, thank you, and Jailer Bennett. Ms. Clerk, Ms. Birdwell, thank you for being here, and Sheriff Kent Keene and Coroner Tim Gibson, thank you, sir, for being here. Okay, and media, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2019.
I move to approve the minutes.
Master Bowman,
Second.
Master Houchins. Questions, discussion, deletions, additions? If Not on.
Judge, excuse me, we're gonna take care of the, in new business, we're gonna amend the minutes, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. I also entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March the 12th, which was a special call meeting, 2019.
So moved.
Master Houchins.
Second.
Second Master Riddle. Any changes, discussion, deletions, additions? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you. Announcements, I'll tell you what I have. We're coming up on next week of cleanup. Magistrates, you should have this schedule you received in your packets. There's two changes. Two changes. The Park City Volunteer Fire Department, it will not be there. It will be at Bell's Tavern. Also, will not be set up at the Temple Hill Fairgrounds. Will be set up at the Temple Hill Fire Department. So if you have someone in your prospective districts that call, make sure to tell them. Obviously, John's number is also available on here. One of the questions that we've been asked was receiving things from other counties. We don't receive anything from other counties. This is for Barren County folks only. So make sure that they know that. Let's see here. The road department, with the time change, they'll be going back to 410s. That's Monday through Thursday. Just wanted to make you all aware of that. Also, this will be the appropriate time to talk about the grant that I laid in front of you all. That is the rubber modified asphalt chip and seal thin overlay grant. I'd like to have approval to go ahead and apply for that. As I said, that is due April the 15th, and that will be before we meet again. So I will entertain a motion to
I'll make a motion.
Master Botts.
Second.
And Master Coomer. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you very much. Yes, this here. Yeah. Also, just want to make you all aware, on the Beckton Rocky Hill Road, we had guardrail repairs. This was due to an accident that had happened, and this was 100% paid by insurance. So anyway, just letting you know it's been repaired. New guardrail's been put up. And we will need a PO for that to be reimbursed. If anyone would like to see the statement on it, I have it right here. I need a PO so we can pay it and get reimbursed on it.
You need a motion, don't you, Judge?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Master Dickerson.
A second.
Second Master Bowman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Like this right here. Let me see if we can see that. What else we gonna bring? Okay. Okay, departmental reports. We'll move on to building and properties. That'll be Chairman.
Judge,
sorry.
I have a car show.
Okay, go ahead.
We have a car show at April the 13th at the Barren River Lake State Park, and it's hosted and put on by the Friends of Barren River Lake, and it'll be going on all day. It's always a good time. There'll be some beautiful cars there. Just come out and spend a little money with these guys and help them. The proceeds all go towards most of it I think goes towards the fireworks. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, anything else in prospective districts? Okay, also, go ahead and put this on your calendar. I believe I sort of introduced this to you all last week. Fiscal court members will be having a training session for our new Chromebooks. That will be Monday, March 25th at 9 a.m. That'll be here. There will be no official action taken during this section. And this is part of our investment in our interact skills. So please be here. Also, and I sorry I forgot, and the county attorney brought this to my attention, but we need to congratulate those Barren County Trojanettes for representing Barren County in the state tournament, and what a great job that they did. And not only that, just as Barren Countyans that traveled to support these ladies, it was just overwhelming. So, you know, they did an awesome job in representing Barren County. We want to thank them for that job. So we'll move on to building properties. Master Cummer?
Yes, last meeting we discussed some water issues at the health department, getting water leakage into the basement, and we received 3 proposals to go in and dig out the wall and put a drain tile in at the footer. We think that's going to take care of the problem. That contract was granted to Glass Construction. Also with the health department, we've got some issues with the downspouts not being large enough and water kind of holding in at the top of the roof and causing some problems, and we're going to get some proposals on repairing that and putting larger downspouts, but no action has been taken yet. And the last thing, the courthouse roof, it's been on about 20 years. The courthouse is needing painting, but AOC won't authorize that until we replace the roof. So we had received some bids back earlier last year, and that bid has been granted to Gunner Roofing. It will all be reimbursed back to the county through AOC, so there will be no cost to the county. Can I make all this motion in one, Judge, or do I need to separate these?
Let's do an emotion on the health department, and go ahead and state that amount.
Okay.
Okay?
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'll make the motion for grant that job to Glass Construction and the amount, Jeff?
$8,651.25.
Okay, just want to make sure I had the right number.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second, Master Riddle. Questions, discussion? Hearing all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You want acknowledgement? Yeah, so we'll approve the roof for the
Courthouse?
courthouse, correct.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant Gunner Roofing that, we need the amount on that too?
$54,700.
Yes.
I make,
$54,700,
Yeah,
which will be reimbursed through AOC.
and that's your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, we
I
have a
second.
motion. We have a second, Master Botts. Questions, discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
That's all I have, Judge.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Road Department, the Transportation Committee, Recreation Committee, this will be Chairman Houchins.
The Transportation Committee met last Friday, and we opened bids for the surplus items, and I'm gonna read them off right now. Lot number 3 is Joe Renfro, $121. Lot number 4, Joe Renfro, $161. Lot number 5, Derek Pettigo, $101. Lot number 6, Joe Renfro, $53. Lot number 7, Dennis Profit, $340. Lot number 8, Dennis Profit, $340. Lot number 9, Circle C, $12,556.18. Lot 10, B.J. Crowley, $5,250. Lot number 11, Chris Shives, $5,100. Lot 12, Chris Shives, $4,600. Lot 13, Joe Renfro, $60. And lot 14, Joe Renfro, $12. That's come out to a total of $28,694.18.
Okay, is that your motion to accept those?
Hey, I want to make a motion we accept.
Okay, we have a
accept
motion on the
these.
floor.
Second.
Second by Master Sarton. Questions, discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
The next item we got is a road, they wanting to close part of a road on, off 252 down here. It's Furlong Road, and we've appointed 2 people to view the portion of the road to be closed, so we'll get back to that at a later date on that. Also, in your packet, we got a ordinance here for we had drawn up. You'd like to look it up on yours and read it, on the private roadways. And I'd like to make a motion, we accept that in the county road system.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the ordinance for private roads.
I second.
Second by Mr. Botts. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, Chairman, I want to go back to your second thing about the WD Furlong Road.
Yeah.
We will need a motion to approve those two folks that we are, that will do this study. So do you all have the names? You or Master Bowman?
Yes.
Okay. You'll need to put that in the form of a motion, those two folks that you have,
Okay.
so we can approve that.
Do I need to list the names?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There has been two men appointed to view the portion of WD Furlong Road. It's request for the discontinuance of that portion. And those names are Davy Gray and Robbie Fudge.
I make a motion, we accept those.
Second.
Okay, motion Master Riddle, second by Master Couchins. Questions, discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you very much. Anything else, Chairman?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Emergency management, and so we'll go to the administrative and committee budget chair, Chairman Botts.
Yes, me, Mark Bowman, and Billy Houchins, we met with the emergency management coordinator Tracy and Sheriff Kent. And recommendation for the sheriff has a extra vehicle to forward over to the emergency management fleet without any cost. It'll just switch over and there'll be a line item under take off from the sheriff's line item, and it goes to the emergency management. That's a 2014 Dodge Ram 1500. And I make a motion that gets switched over without any cost. And
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, second by Master Bowman. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, Chairman.
also, we met at that same time. Sheriff brought to our attention he needed a couple more vehicles, and he was willing to look in on some used one in Chicago Motor Incorporated, and we give him permission to investigate and look at some proposals that he gave us. And him and I think one of his deputies went up in about a week ago and looked over these vehicles thoroughly, he said, and very impressed, and was willing to go on and give them an offer with our approval. And them offers are $15,750 a piece. That's per one, so a total of $31,500 for two used vehicles. And I will state that these are special vehicles. You're not going to find them at any of the lots here in town, so we're not, you know, we would love for the people in town to get an opportunity to do this, but they're special vehicles made, and you're not going to find them here. We're blessed to even find them there, and I thank the sheriff for looking for the used route, and we're going to try this. So $31,500 is a motion to buy two used vehicles. I have the specs here if anyone wants to see them or any of the court members, but I make a motion that we let him proceed at this.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second, Master Couchins. Questions, discussion?
Yes.
How many miles do those vehicles have on them? Just
Okay. Sheriff, would you come up and?
I've got it right here.
Okay, go.
On the 2010, 66,000 miles. 2009, 57,000 miles.
thank you.
Are these pursuit vehicles, Sheriff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, police package.
And does anybody know the history on them? I mean, where they came from or anything like that?
They came from government agencies out of the state
Sheriff.
of Texas.
You come up here, we can hear you.
This is a law enforcement buyer that buys used vehicles. They came out of the state of Texas from government agencies. I think one of them was possibly the U.S. Air Force base, and the other one was located with the Border Patrol.
Okay.
The one car we're transferring to emergency management, and then we're purchasing 2 more additional, right? So we're going to be one vehicle ahead in the fleet than we were. Is that correct?
No, sir. One vehicle is on its last leg, and we're lucky if it finishes the day today.
Okay. Thank you.
What do we have to do to them when we get them here? We got to change the emblems or the lights, or?
There's no emblems. There's no lights. Although that equipment has been removed.
Okay.
They're a police package, meaning the drivetrain, alternators, 2 batteries, things of that nature are on the vehicle, but there's no decals.
So we have to equip them, put our decals on.
Somewhat. One of them won't be equipped because it's going to be rotated to an investigator position, so we won't need much of the road equipment like the screen divider and some of the things required for a frontline patrol vehicle.
Any more questions? Okay, I have a motion and a second on the table. So, 31,500. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Also under old business, ordinance 621 related to budget amendment 4. I open this up for a public hearing for comment. Close public hearing and entertain a motion to adopt on second reading.
Make that motion.
Master Houchins,
Second.
Master Riddle. Questions, discussion? And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, we've already took care of B, which was in the transportation. So amendment to the motion, which was on the March 19th. This is with the economic development funds. There's been a lot of talk in the community about this. What we did here at Barren County Fiscal Court is we went from 60,000 to 120,000 and for our economic development efforts. Now, in that 120,000, and to start with, we will control that money on how it is spent. Barren County Fiscal Court, that 120,000. Now it can go. We can put it to specific things, which could include. It could include salaries. It could include advertising. It could include projects. It could include anything, as long as Barren County Fiscal Court approves it. Okay, that's our intentions. That's the intentions. So I want to make an amendment to that motion that we, as the Barren County Fiscal Court, we're gonna allocate $120,000 to the upcoming budget for economic development. Once again, that could be projects, it could be salaries, it could be advertising and marketing, but it doesn't have to be. It's under our discretion of how we spend it. We vote on it. And that's my motion.
I'll second that, Judge.
Second, Master Dickerson. Questions, discussion on that?
I still have one question about it, and I know we've discussed this several times, Judge, and I think I've discussed it with Squire Dickerson too, but just to clarify, now, we're gonna control the whole $120,000, or are we making a contribution, our normal contribution of 60, and we're gonna control the other 60?
No, my motion is that we control the $120,000
Okay.
across the board.
So we've never in the past had that kind of control over the 60,000 that we've always given.
I think we've just always given the 60,000.
Okay.
And let them do with it.
Without any say-so of it. So now you're saying we're gonna control the whole 100?
That's correct.
Okay.
Squire Riddle, to clarify, there are committees meeting right now to restructure our economic development here in Barren County. And I think everyone on this court has an opinion how that should be done. And if we as a court see that it's not done in a way that we think is the way that it should be done, then we can reject spending the money.
So,
Okay?
yeah.
Or if we find a project that we like, we can spend the money on that. If we like what the economic development committees are doing, we can throw the money in to that also. Just whatever comes out of this restructure is, we will spend the money if we feel like it's worthy to spend it that way.
But they'll
As
have
a
to
court.
come, they'll have to come to us and bring
Well,
it to us.
or when the restructuring's done, I'd say someone will come up and explain to us how it's done, and then we can determine whether we want to spend the money that way or not. Okay?
Right.
Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear to everyone?
And just to expand on that a little more, we need to continue this working relationship with the city of Glasgow, with Cave City, with Park City, and be a unified front on this. So that's our stance on it. I mean, I don't know how I can say any more.
Are we aligned with this, with Cave City and Glasgow with this?
Well, I can't speak for Mayor and his council, but if you'd like to speak on it, Mayor, you can.
I can't speak for the council.
Okay. If you'd like to say anything, you can. And Mayor Hatcher, you're welcome to come and speak as well.
I can't speak for the entire council, as usual. However, I can tell you it's my intent to mimic this same budget amendment that y'all are doing, and it's my intent to work closely with the other mayors and with the county, because from this point forward, when you say Glasgow, Barren County. And that's our intent. That's the way we're trying to invite employers into Glasgow and Barren County, and it's our intent to grow Glasgow and Barren County together.
Thank you.
Or my intent.
Mayor Hatcher?
Thank you, Judge. I just have a couple of comments, and I really hadn't been involved in the last few months. All I know is what I've read in the paper. So from our perspective, one of my goals was to become more involved with the county, Glasgow, Barren County, so we're all in this together. We spent, I guess, last year, almost a year, reorganizing the Idea Board to make it Barren County Economic Development. And that's what I'm still involved in. That's still what I want it to be. Cave City does contribute to the Barren County Economic Authority, and I want us to all work as a county for whatever is best for all of us. And we intend, and once again, I can't speak for our council, but my intent is for us to continue together to make our county and the very best it can be. With that said, like I say, we spent almost a year, and that's all we did. And now we're in these negotiations, and the sooner we can come to an agreement and structure of whatever, because we're losing time on that development, in my opinion.
Agree.
Every year or so we have to revamp or whatever. So let's get together and come up so we can get to the real issue of developing and progressing our county.
Agreed. Let's put it to bed. I mean, it's not hearsay. It's out there, print it, whatever you need to do. We're serious about economic development in Barren County. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay, new business. We have the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to address the court. Rural Secondary Road, Mr. Joe Plum. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Judge Hale and Fiscal Court. It's always a pleasure to come before you. We're here today to present our Rural Secondary Roads program. I'll introduce some staff. Blake Williams is our Transportation Engineer Supervisor. He's located here in Glasgow. He covers all maintenance responsibilities for Barren County and as well as some neighboring counties. Also with me is Heath Crawford. He's our branch manager for all construction and maintenance activities within the district. Blake has distributed a form that I'll be presenting from. This is as per KRS 177.330, the Department of Highways shall notify each county fiscal court of the county roads that the department intends to construct, reconstruct, or maintain. These are roads in the rural secondary program. So I'll start at the top there. The projected allotment for fiscal year 2020, which begins on July 1st, is $1,600,657. There is some carryover from last year of $331,416. So that means total funds available $1,932,073. I'll go through each of the 8 line items real quickly. Item number 1, essentially 38% of that initial distribution is cut off the top for routine maintenance and traffic on the 145 miles of rural secondary roads in Barren County. That's $608,200. So again, that's routine maintenance and traffic on those roadways. There's also an allotment for the county judge expenses. This is true for every county in the state of Kentucky, $2,400. I'm going to jump down to line item number 8, flex funds. This is 20% of that initial allotment goes directly to the county fiscal court for use to supplement your CRA. That's your county road aid that you get every year. So this is to supplement that, $320,131. And that leaves the remaining 5 line items for projects that have been identified by our staff. That's $1,001,342 broken out in this way. So line item number 3 is the first project. It's resurfacing 1.603 miles of Highway 87, that's Austin Tracy Road, beginning at the Monroe County line and extending north to the intersection with Milburn Taylor Road, $156,397. Line item number 4, the second project, resurfacing and drainage work on 1.664 miles of Highway 1318, Narrows Road, beginning at the end of state maintenance and extending east to the intersection with South Lucas Road, $148,283. Line item number 5, the third project, resurfacing and drainage work on 2.093 miles of Highway 1342, Beaver Creek Boat Ramp Road, beginning at the intersection with Whispering Woods Road, extending north to the intersection with Highway 252, $201,141. Line item number 6, resurfacing and drainage work on 4.04 miles of Highway 1307, Lick Ranch Road, New Salem Road, beginning at the intersection with Highway 1330 and extending west to the intersection with Hollis Thomas Road, $377,236. And line item number 7 in the final project is a thin-lay preventive maintenance treatment on 2.27 miles of Highway 2198, Lick Branch Road, beginning at the intersection with Green Valley Road and extending east to the intersection with Highway 1307. So that's a 5/8 inch overlay. It's still a resurfacing. $118,285. That's a long report, but that means there's a lot of funds coming to Barren County, a lot of work to be done here.
Correct.
I'll certainly entertain any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Joe? Okay, here now, we will need a motion to accept this report.
Make that motion.
Mr. Couchins.
Second.
Mr. Coomer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Joe, you have anything else for us?
Last month we were here for the listening tour, and I'll just provide an update. There were a couple of questions, one of which was about some traffic signals on the Glasgow Outer Loop. 2 locations in particular, North Jackson, that's 31E, and Highway 90, that's Happy Valley Road. The left turning traffic. So you know how it acts now is the driver will get a flashing yellow, which means they can proceed with caution as long as there's a gap. There was some question about whether there needs to be a protected phase or a green arrow to allow traffic to move through. Typically that's based on traffic volumes, but also crashes can contribute to that. And we did an analysis based on that request that came from the last time we were here. And there are a number of left-turning crashes, so our recommendation to our Division of Traffic in Frankfort is to install the green arrow. Now, ultimately, our Frankfort office will have that final say. Typically, they go along and there is quite a bit of justification there. I can't guarantee when that will happen, but hopefully in the short term, those signal heads will have to come down. New heads will be placed back up. But I just wanted to give you that positive report based on the question that came up at the last meeting. That's all I have.
Well, Joe, as always, thank you for the job you do, your team. You're just a phone call away, and I'll tell you, it's very refreshing to know you actually return your calls. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have members of Johnson Controls to address the court about a jail inmate training program. Sir?
Thank you, Judge. Well, thanks again to everyone today in the fiscal court. My name is Philip Lowry. I started Johnson Controls in May of 1998. Had several roles. My current position is the North American Director of our state government business. But the first 19 years of my career was exclusively in local government, and I just was mentioning to my colleague here, Jerry, that this is very familiar. This is almost like coming back home when I'm in a local government and in a council or a city council chamber, county commissioner type meeting, because I did that for 19 years, so it's wonderful to be here. Essentially, even without the presentation, I think for simplicity purposes, we are going to be discussing just two things today. Number one, we're going to present to the fiscal court a program that began about 40 years ago that allows local governments, whether it be municipalities or county governments, to look inward at the way they spend money in their facilities, particularly on their maintenance and operations, as well as on their utility consumption, and to determine if we can make some changes to certain pieces of equipment that yield lower energy costs, lower water, lower gas usage, and we can capture that savings, monetize it, and allow the county to make greatly needed improvements in some failed systems like heating and cooling systems. And then to take part of that money that is derived from that savings that would otherwise be spent with the utility and fund the second part of today's presentation, which is one of the second chance reentry programs in alignment with DOC and the state of Kentucky. So that's really just the two objectives, Judge, and we'll try to move through that. I would really love to tell you that the very best part of any presentation is when we get a chance to answer questions. Quite frankly, that's the best part of the day. So having said that, Johnson Controls started in 1885, so about 134 or so years ago, and we've grown to a company around our globe and employ roughly 120,000 employees in many different types of functions. I could go on the entire time telling you the many things we do, but what we discovered, well, less than a decade ago, having worked with state corrections facilities across our nation, really from Maine to Hawaii, is that we learned this word recidivism, and we learned better than that what it meant to corrections agencies in their attempt to have offenders, when they're released back into the very communities where they were arrested, be able to find jobs and to keep themselves from being re-incarcerated. And so we looked inward to ourselves and said, we've got these programs that we think we might be able to bring inside the fence, we called it at the time, to create a program that provides job skills, certifications, licensing, that allows an inmate to become a productive member of society. And then became the question, so Johnson, how will you fund that? That's what we're going to talk about today. I told you a little bit about who we are. Very large company, as I've mentioned. You may be familiar with some of the things we've done right here in Kentucky, because for many, many years we probably made every single thing that you could touch inside your car. So that's one of the things we did. Another thing we've done for many, many years is every Die-Hard battery, Interstate battery, Walmart battery, Optima battery, I go down the list, those are all Johnson Controls products. If you've ever seen a York piece of air conditioning equipment, that's a Johnson Controls product. So many different things that we've done. This may be the most important slide. In the early 70s, in the state of Ohio, school districts were strapped for monies, and the appropriations of funds to school districts had grown to an all-time low, but the deferred maintenance continued to rise at an increasing rate. Equipment was failing in some of those school districts, and a couple of superintendents got together, approached our industry and said, how can you help us create funding for the needs we have that we're not being able to get from the taxpayer? And we thought, well, how do you spend money on your gas? How do you spend money on water? How do you spend money on electricity? How much money are you spending every year maintaining pieces of equipment that might be 20, 25, 30 years old? And what is that history of maintenance expenses? And if we were able to lower your electricity expense by 20, 25%, and your water usage by 30, 32, 34% in many corrections environments, and your gas usage maybe 14, 15, 17%, collectively, those utility savings will generate a fairly large pool of money with which you can make those needed improvements inside your own facilities without looking at the taxpayer for any new dollars. That became known as energy savings performance contracting. And as you see, there's your KRS statute there, I'm blind, 45A 352. I would let you know that only the state of Iowa doesn't have a statute. 49 states have statutes for energy-based performance contracting. So it's a very widely used tool within Johnson Controls and within our community. Kentucky, however, has gone a step further. And what they have done, along with probably 12 other states and 2 districts, is they've looked at this concept of public-private partnerships. Public-private partnerships let you go beyond the mechanical rooms and actually address new buildings. It might be a full retrofit of an existing central energy plant, or it could be building a new building from a green space, and then being able to provide to the customer an assurance of what the operational cost of that building would be for 30, 40 years, and return that building to the county in this case at 90% or better of its new construction value. That's what public-private partnerships did on top of the concept of energy-based performance contracting. And again, you're unique in a very small number of states in our nation who have embraced that. We call our program the Green HVAC. It's heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. And the program started, quite frankly, back in 1947 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There are now 100 members of the overall learning and development team. When we purchased Tyco, another name you may know, we've combined our 2 learning and development teams, and we have an office that Jerry works out of that started with 50 people roughly. It's up to 100 people now. And in 1947, we opened the first Johnson Controls Institute, and that institute exists so that universities, colleges, entities with very large buildings and very large square footage space can send their own maintenance staffs to our facility where they become certified or they accelerate their ability to maintain their own buildings. And those programs, again, started in Milwaukee, and then they spread to 11 more sites around our nation, which quite frankly are from Baltimore all the way west to California, I believe, Jerry. So having said that, the little bit of today is going to be talking to you about the impact of how we took that program that really started inside a facility in Milwaukee and were challenged by the Louisiana Department of Corrections to say, we would like for you to take the same program, the same academic curricula, the same vocational training that people pay for inside your institute in Milwaukee, and we would like for you to build a facility inside the fence at Louisiana Department of Corrections and bring the exact same academic and vocational training. Little did they know at the time that if you go through one of our classes in Milwaukee, any of us sitting in this room, and you take all of the same classes that we bring for free to the offender base, you would pay a little over $100,000. A little over $100,000 of training that we bring to the offenders over a period of some roughly 18 months on average for free. And we don't ask for 1 penny of compensation for any of that training inside of these programs that we bring to departments of correction. Many fields, and I think you have some literature that probably lists all the items that we do in your packet, so I won't spend your time going through that. But I might mention to you that this statistic here was taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I've memorized it, otherwise I couldn't read it from here. But I'll tell you what it says is, by the year 2022, it is anticipated that there will be more than 115,000 jobs that are commercial HVAC positions that are unfilled in our nation. I recently was told just yesterday that that statistic has been updated, and it's actually quite larger than the 115,000 delta. So I say that because we've been in states, most recently I was speaking with Rebecca Clayfish. She's the former lieutenant governor in Wisconsin, where our company was originally headquartered. And she went onto her state database. Secretary, I don't even think I told you this, right in front of me, and said there are 674 jobs in Wisconsin, state positions, that we could fill. We could take every single graduate you can give us. So it's pretty alarming. Our own organization is having a hard time, and with all of our employees, having a hard time filling our frontline service HVAC roles. There are positions open everywhere. So we know that the marketplace is demanding something that we think we can give them, and instead of just working on making buildings better, making buildings more efficient, we're now investing in the lives of people, and we're making people better. And we're helping people come out of the corrections environments and find very good, high-paying jobs. Some of those jobs that we've recently learned, there was a gentleman out of Louisiana. In his first year, he writes a letter directly to Jerry. He made about $92,000 his first year out of the Louisiana Department of Corrections. We thought that was pretty impressive until just last week or the week before when Jerry was back, and one gentleman had made a little over $100,000 in his first year as a former felon. And so we believe the programs are really working. That said, there are a few slides that we can go through, and I think the most interesting ones are the tours, when you're going to see a lot of pictures of just the overall mammoth size. I don't know what I did just there, but the size of our labs really are about, we look for 4,000 square feet of space roughly, which is what would be ideal. And the reason for that is about one person per 100 square feet of space. So a 4,000 square foot lab would give us the ability to train as many as 40 people. Yesterday we spent a tour around the county and looked at some properties. There are more than one that are almost perfectly fit for this type of a vocational lab that would allow us to train as many as 25, 30, 32, 35 people at any given time. And having spoken to the number of state-held offenders currently in the county facilities, correct me if I'm wrong on the information, that seems just to be about perfect and around that 25 to 35 number that we could take at any given time. So that's pretty interesting to us. People always ask us this question. It's really, really small, forgive me. So how is it that your people get these great jobs? Well, there are a couple of dozen, it looks like to me, certifications that are provided to these offenders during our classwork, some of which are Johnson Controls certifications. And coming from our program that's been in existence for 75 years, they are highly recognized in the industry. But not to toot our horn, many of those are outside of our industry and are certifications provided by third-party entities like ASHRAE, which would be the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration Air Conditioning Engineers. So a number of certifications. To me, this slide right here looks like the resume of a graduate of our program. That's what it says on their resume. And that resume looks better, quite frankly, than a lot of resumes that we get from people who have not been convicted for felonies trying to get jobs with inside JCI. They don't have that portfolio because they've gone to community colleges and technical colleges, and there's nothing wrong with them, but they're going to teach you how to work on residential air conditioners, small split systems like you and I have at our homes. So when you look at these pictures in a moment, I would dare say that none of you have this type of equipment in your home. So be ready for that. And Jerry, with that, I thought I might be able to take it over to you for just a second and let you talk a little bit about the program itself and do some slides on the pictures themselves of your students.
Sounds great.
Jerry Hirsch, everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for allowing us to be here today. So, as Philip mentioned, I'm going to take you on a little virtual field trip. So, I have the honor to work in prisons that we have this program. And one thing I tell our students in these programs is that you know, there's a great opportunity for them. Of course, our students can't go on field trips with me. So I carry about 10,000 pictures in my laptop back there of all the places that I've worked on HVAC equipment, commercial equipment, on rooftops, mechanical rooms, every place else, and the students just love going on a field trip. So this is the Louisiana State Penitentiary, commonly called Angola. This is one of our locations where we have our program. Not sure if any of you have been there before, but as you can see, the students are working on, in this picture, some VAV boxes, variable air volume boxes, that you wouldn't see in a residence, but very critical in commercial buildings. There's thousands of them in large buildings. Up in the ceiling tiles. In fact, you probably have some right up above the ceiling tile. If we pulled a ladder in and pulled it open, I bet we'd find some. And one of the things we do too is train the students on building automation systems, which of course you still also wouldn't find in a residence or a residential training program. But very important to train the students on that, because many HVAC techs in the field today can't work with building automation systems. They weren't trained on that yet. And it's a critical skill if you want to be in the commercial space and commercial equipment. Sorry, my slides are advancing automatically. I don't know if you noticed that, but I guess we forgot to turn the timer off. So this is a picture of the large air handling unit in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. We have about 4,000 square feet there of space, and when I go there, which I'm there in this picture here training these students, we have 40 inmates that are going through the program at a time. So I have 40 people to work with, and when I'm sitting there talking to them, explaining how that digital controller works, that device on the wall right there, the blue label, you know, I know the students are only picking up maybe 20 or 30% of what I say, you know, not very much, but when we actually have them work on the equipment like they're doing right here, they're picking up a lot more, and they're retaining that much longer. And that's something we do too, is have assistant instructors that we select from the students, and we ask for volunteers. And we have 6 assistant instructors that help bring smaller groups together and do all these lab exercises. So it's a very hands-on oriented program, and that's the key to helping people learn and understand it. A lot of these students have drug and alcohol abuse issues. You know, they're not going to remember things in some cases for a long period of time without some techniques and some tools.
Jerry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Stay at the mic, please.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because we're live. We're
Oh,
live
okay.
streaming, so
Okay.
people they can
Sounds
hear
good.
you.
I'll
Okay,
do that.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thanks for that advice. So one thing we do with the students, of course, is use many cheat sheets. I call them cheat sheets. Anything like this to help them remember what they're learning, because HVAC is such a large field with so many different types of equipment that no one, including myself, can remember it all. And we need a lot of cheat sheets to help out. So in the next slide, I'm going to take you on that ended the tour in Louisiana. I'm taking you to Virginia right now, Indian Creek Prison in Virginia. We have the same type of program. These are some of our students. They use many of our Johnson Controls Institute books, as well as industry books, like Philip mentioned, that those industry certifications are just as important as the Johnson Controls certifications. And the equipment in Virginia is a little bit smaller. It's the same VAV boxes, but the air handling unit in the back is a commercial unit, but a little bit smaller than the one you saw in the other picture. And with that, we only had about 2,000 square feet to work with, so we can only handle about 20 students at a time. But it's still very effective, and I'll show you some statistics at the end here. These are some of our graduates in Virginia, some of our first graduates that came out in 2014. A couple of these guys, the two on the end here, one guy with the very large eyes and the other guy in front, they are now HVAC supervisors. They each have a staff of HVAC technicians working for them. And the guy in the back has been in the field now working for about 3 years. And he's now going to college to gain his mechanical engineering degree, which he's going to be finishing this year. So the success stories are very, very gratifying for me personally and for obviously the students. So I have many other examples and stories to share, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have if you'd like to address any.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
So we typically say, what are the next steps and why are we here addressing the fiscal court? What we'd like is an opportunity just to look inward to some of your facilities. There's absolutely no financial obligation on your part whatsoever to have us do so. But without spending a couple of days on site, a little bit more time understanding how you really spend money on operations and maintenance, maybe collect some utility bills over the last 2 or 3 years so that we can understand what your consumption is, what your utility spend is on the gas, water, and electricity, then go see some of those pieces of equipment that are creating maintenance problems where they may be 20+ years old, and really start understanding better how much money are you spending annually maintaining this piece of equipment, and what risk does it present to you if it failed during the summer when you need to condition this very room. A lot of those questions, because then and only then will we know whether or not we could bring a program that allows us to bring efficiencies to the county buildings in an amount great enough to fully cover 100% of the cost. 100% of the cost of all the equipment and labor that would go into making those changes, and create enough money to bring one of these programs. It is called performance-based contracting. It has a statute because we are contractually required to compensate you in the event that we guarantee you a certain amount of savings and we fail to reach that amount of savings. Again, If we guarantee you a certain amount of utility savings, operations and maintenance savings, that is necessary for you to pay for 100% of all of the improvements, and we fail to meet or exceed that number, Johnson Controls will compensate you with a check for the difference between what we guarantee and what you actually save. And that is spelled out very clearly in the statute itself. And again, has been done for a few decades now, probably for almost 5 decades now. So that's really, it's not an obligation on any part. Today is a discussion. Not asking for any action of any type whatsoever, but it would be a real honor to be able to work along shoulder to shoulder with the judge, to look inside some of your facilities, to work alongside Kentucky DOC, and determine, is there a chance that we can do what we accomplished in Louisiana and Virginia, and where we're looking in other states, to bring one of these programs and have it be paid for out of avoided cost utility savings, essentially. Questions, Judge, that you may have at this point?
I'll leave the court. Court, do you have any questions?
So if we wanted you guys to come in and do a survey, we would need to take action on that today, is that correct? Or in the future, if we wanted you guys to come in and do a survey, this fiscal court would have to take action for you guys to come in, is that correct?
I have seen it, I have seen both. Quite frankly, what I've been told is it's not a financial obligation. Most courts don't think that they need to actually take action to do so. I could easily provide your judge a letter saying this is just a memorandum of understanding of what we intend to do. Please notice that there's no financial obligation whatsoever on the part of the county. But if you felt so compelled to say, we'd like for you to come in and do a study, then I think that should rest with the court's decision. Is that okay of an answer?
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think we probably should, so everyone would be on board. But I just wanted to ask what the other thing. Johnson Controls is not doing this anywhere else in the state. Is that correct? On a county.
On a county level, we have not engaged any county other than Barren on this program for the Second Chance Reentry Program. We've been made known that there are some 76 counties that actually house as many as 12,000 state corrections. But our commitment is we're not going to go and start engaging other counties. We'd rather work right here in Barren, proof the concept, bring this program to Barren County, and then if it becomes contagious to other counties within the state, wonderful. But we don't want to spread ourselves a mile wide and a half-inch thick, and we really have our focus here.
What about percentage of graduates that go through the program? What percent do you have graduate or complete the program to get their certificate?
So there are 3 levels of the program, and each one requires a significant amount more of educational, both academic and on-hands training. But also the 3rd level has far more certifications than does the 1st level. The 1st level would be a little more than a handyman, general maintenance type operator, and then the 2nd level would be someone who would be able to work on commercial heating and cooling equipment. And then that 3rd level would be someone who can do the first 2 levels, plus have a very good understanding of computer building automation systems for larger campus environments like the University of Kentucky, or a really large environment with multiple buildings and a front-end system that gave you the ability from one seat to be able to schedule and control all the HVAC equipment in 130 buildings. Very much more complicated. So I think the majority of our graduates go through, Jerry, at least 2 of those programs, 2 of the levels?
Usually, yes.
Okay, so up to the 2nd. There is a difference in income expectation for each of the 3. There might be $35,000, $40,000 average for the 1st level. It could be closer to $46,000 to $50,000 on the 2nd level, and then that 3rd, more than likely see average salaries in that $60,000, $65,000. Some of those examples we gave you of the $92,000 and the $100,000, those are just individuals who took the initiative to work overtime, who may have base salaries at $60,000, or may be a part of organizations that incentivize their employees to grow their footprint within their own accounts, sell more services, bring more equipment, be compensated on that. So have a sales compensation component. That individual who made over $100,000 is showing now that he took the initiative to do all of those things. Too much of an answer. I'm sorry if that was too much of an answer.
My other question was, if the numbers go down, I know it's strictly volunteer, and say we don't have 10 inmates that want to do this, will you be bringing inmates in from other counties to fill these positions, or?
I think that's a DOC question.
Okay.
We would not be opposed to what the DOC could do.
State inmates, we have, I know DOC's here to speak, but there'll be state inmates that, if they're interested in the program, will transport here to Barren County.
Okay.
And while you're here, I want to get your opinion on this, since you are our Barren County jailer, so how you feel about it?
I'm excited about it. I think it's great. You know, it's about making a difference in people's lives, guys. This is what's going to make a difference. We've worked with these inmates. We're already doing so many programs. DOC guides us. We do our own things, you know, to help these guys. This is giving them a skill. You know, we do parenting classes, anger management class, personal classes to make them better individuals. Now we're going to have an opportunity to give them a skill and to set them up in our own community to be able to give them jobs so they're back to being part of our community and working. And then we're also going to add to this, you know, different organizations that we have to be able to hopefully set them up in homes, get them on their feet, have some money in that bank account, but now they also have a job and a skill. I'm very excited about this.
Thank you.
I was curious too if any foreseen problems with some of these employees getting jobs because they are convicted felons.
So that's a question that we get very, very often. And I think the answer is the reason we structure the program around commercial heating and cooling rather than residential is we feared that some employers who were focused on residential heating and cooling systems may not want to hire an individual who had a felon conviction to be inside of homes, working on air handlers inside homes and air conditioners. And so we then go beyond that to say in the commercial environment, the take rate of the positions that we've had is very high, very high. And we structure it commercially partly for that reason. One of the brag points is we don't have a single graduate out of Louisiana who has been arrested again, reincarcerated. And out of the 60-some early on in Virginia, I think there have been 3, giving us 100 to 120 graduates so far on these the emphasis of these 2 programs over the last couple of years. And I believe our recidivism rate is probably 3% or something, compared to a national statistic is sometimes as high as 90% over 5 years in many states. So the program, I believe, numbers are proving that it's working.
I want to give the opportunity to DOC JT to speak if you wish on this, but.
I'm Kirsty Weller with the Department of Corrections. I'm the Director for Local Facilities, which works with all of the county jails across the state. And we are very excited about the opportunity that has been presented to you all today. Obviously, this is something that you all will have to consider and determine whether it's, you know, a good opportunity and a good fit for you. But we think that this has great potential. We've not had an opportunity so far to have a vocational type education setting in a county jail thus far, so this would be something entirely new for us, but we're excited about the possibility, and we think that there could be great outcomes with regards to it. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Y'all have any more questions?
Yeah, I do. Getting back on your last little comment on the reason you're not going with the residential versus commercial, and I was wondering if there's going to be, or can you go and look at that if we bring this into Barren County? I own a plumbing company, and I know there's Don Baker's in the crowd that owns HVAC, and probably 90%, 80% of our work is residential. Mm-hmm. Can you look at possibly going down to the level of residential in this package, or have you done it in the past in any, you know, where they're, just to be honest, you know, we're not booming right here.
Right.
We're having to go out of town to get big jobs, what you're talking about. So is that going to be a possibility? Right now,
won't be a problem at all.
We just learned this in my continuing ed. Tim House is in the Division of Plumbing. Taught a class about 2 months ago in Bowling Green, or continuing ed. There's 2 school systems that teach plumbing right now in their vocational. We don't here in Barren County. We got a state of the art. It's just plumbing is not kind of overlooked or whatever. I know it's kind of passion to me. That's what I meant. But I just would it be possible to consider? I mean, the people are changing their rules. Convicted felonies, hey, they're out there. I wouldn't have some hands right now. They've got records. and people are changing their mind about, I guess, grace about people. You know, times has changed. Everybody has a record. So I didn't know if you're consider maybe on the residential end if we get into doing this.
Sure. Well, the easy answer is absolutely. It has to be your program. If I had gone through more meticulously or accurately, I would have said the very first thing we do is an assessment of the needs in the marketplace before we build the curriculum inside. Number one, we meet even with individuals like yourselves and other employers in the marketplace to understand what their demands are, what they're looking for an employee, so that we build the curriculum around the needs that they have, the certifications that they seek, the training that they want. That's number one, first step. We typically talk about commercial because everything we do early on begins with residential split system type work before you move on to commercial air handlers and building automation systems, and there are plumbing and a number of other things. Electrical, for instance, and what we've learned over time is one of the biggest weaknesses of HVAC technicians is the fact that they just need more electrical experience, honestly. And so sitting down with you, for instance, understanding really what you as an employer, it's supposed to be a development it's supposed to link to economic development.
Mm-hmm.
This program is supposed to link to economic development. Even the program by which we come into the county and make changes, we're looking at the possibility of starting in the county, companies that have domicile in the county. How can they be subcontracted labor to start making these changes and pull out these old chillers and boilers, put new chillers and boilers in? How can we use local labor as a part of our program to drive economic development? That's a big key part of the program. So the key to the success of the training program is understanding the needs of the community.
Thank you.
Did I say anything wrong to that, Jerry?
No, you said it correct.
Okay.
I just have one additional.
Yes.
One additional comment is our existing programs that we have do teach both residential and commercial, because we want to give the offenders any opportunity to get a job, whichever direction they want to move in. So it's already included.
So it's residential plumbing and HVAC, or just HVAC?
The first level of the program teaches them how to be a building maintenance specialist, which includes basic plumbing, basic carpentry, basic electrical, and basic HVAC preventive maintenance. So that's already included in our first level. But again, like Philip said, it's totally customized for every location that we go to, and meeting with the local employers helps us make sure it fits the location.
But you're open for...
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
No, I don't have any more questions. Any more questions from the court? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion, put a motion on the table that we partner with Johnson Controls. And I mean, we've heard from our jailer, he supports this. I think this is all about changing lives and helping our community. So I'm gonna put a motion on the
second.
Second, Master Bots. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you very much. If it's not too disruptive, I'll move that laptop out of your way.
No.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Court. Okay, let's move on. Approve the payments of claims as presented.
So moved.
Master Couchins.
Second.
Second, Master Coomer. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Approve transfer of funds.
So move.
Master Riddle.
Second.
Master Coomer. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Approve budget adjustment.
So moved.
Master Pouchins.
Second.
Second, Master Box. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Approve monthly financial statement, February 2019, subject to audit.
Motion.
Master Riddle.
Second.
Second, Master Coomer. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Official settlement, approved official settlement, February 2019, subject to audit, the county attorney, county clerk, and the sheriff.
So moved.
Master Couchins.
Second.
Second, Master Bowman. Questions, discussion? Hearing all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Personnel actions, you should have that in your packets. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Master Couchins.
Second.
Master Bowman, questions, discussion? Hearing all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Acknowledge receipt of library reports December 2018 to January 2019, subject to audit.
So moved.
Master Coomer,
Second.
second Master Botts, questions, discussion? Hearing all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Acknowledge receipt of proposed jail fund budget. This is the 2019 and 20 fiscal year.
Motion.
Master Botts.
Second.
Second Master Houchins. Again, you're just acknowledging it. It's all you're doing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, we're not going to adjourn. We are going to take a 15-minute break, and then we will be back for our public hearing.